I think people don't understand how much things cost. Media space is one thing, but having any sort of creative work done or having a website built is typically way more expensive than you think. You can hire someone off of Fiverr to do a $100 website, but it's not nearly going to have the level of sophistication that a full agency can develop for you and actually get to work the way you want it. That's one thing we definitely see is a lot of clients not wanting to invest in landing pages or creative that will drive the performance for their accounts.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Patrick Lane. He's the Media Director at MCD Partners. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Hello, happy to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you. So Patrick, why don't you start and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm the media director at MCD Partners, as you said. I've been in media for over 10 years. I've worked at small agencies, large agencies, across small budgets, large budgets. I've done all sorts of different industries. Live here in Chicago, and yeah, I like working in media.
So it sounds like you've had, an interesting career bringing you to MCD Partners. Tell me a little bit more about MCD Partners.
Yeah, I started there over 6 years ago now. I think that's right. I did leave for a little bit, but then I came back. I started out as just a paid media specialist. At one point, my boss had left, and then I kind of just took over the whole department. From there, I scaled the program to a pretty large budget portfolio now across several different clients, and over time, really kind of built up the business there.
Interesting. And for our listeners who may not be familiar with MCD Partners, can you give just like a brief overview of kind of, who MCD Partners is?
Yeah, MCD Partners is a full stack agency. We do development for apps, websites, UX redesigns, UX just audits. We also do media. We have full creative services as well. We've done TV commercials, YouTube videos, just standard banner ads, website layouts, designs. We do it all over here at MCD.
Interesting. And do you see trends in the different industries or verticals that MCD Partners tends to work with more than others, maybe?
We're pretty big in the finance space, I would say. A lot of some of our largest clients are in the finance realm. We really understand that side of the business. But outside that, we do have a pretty good portfolio in consumer product goods. So it's not just finance, but we work across other industries as well.
Interesting. And you mentioned before, kind of in your introduction, talking about being a part of MCD Partners growth. Talk to me a little bit about what that growth has looked like.
Yeah, when I first started out at the company, we had one paid media client with a relatively small budget. And now I think we have, I think we're over five at the moment, and have more than 10x our budget over the years, moving from outside of just doing paid search to doing programmatic media buying, the entire Google suite, social, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn. So we've really expanded out across all the different channels and just putting together programs that meet each client's need.
Interesting. And I'm curious to pick your brain a little bit. Do you tend to see trends in, challenges or changes that are currently affecting maybe not even your clients, but also to the industry?
There's a decent amount of going to one agency to cover all the needs for a client. That's a big one. So it's really great that we can do that instead of having multiple different agencies across things. Another thing is it takes a lot less people to do ad buying now. When I first started, for a larger agency, we had a department for paid search, department for social, department for display. The ad buyers then had like four people under them, all managing different portions of it. But now with AI kind of taking over on some things, you can do a lot more with a lot less people, and having those automated systems really working for you instead of having one person to monitor one thing, another person monitor one thing, another thing. A lot of those monitorings can be done across the automation now.
And why do you think that's so important for our listeners to know about, not necessarily just that, but also the industry, the impact it's having?
Yeah, I mean, needing less people for a team allows for larger media budgets. You're paying for less workers and more just ad space, so that's a big one. Um, I have to think if there's something else that comes across that, but it definitely seems like Google is
Yeah.
pushing more and more that model of less people, more budget for us. So I definitely see that in the workspace.
Not something to be mad about either.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So, Patrick, kind of talking about the industry and different challenges that your customers may be facing, do you tend to hear any common misconceptions that people think may be maybe true about, kind of the industry that you're in, or not necessarily accurate?
Maybe this answers that. I think people don't understand how much things cost. Media space is one thing, but having any sort of creative work done or having a website built is typically way more expensive than you think. You can hire someone off of Fiverr to do a $100 website, but it's not nearly going to have the level of sophistication that a full agency can develop for you and actually get to work the way you want it. That's one thing we definitely see is a lot of clients not wanting to invest in landing pages or creative that will drive the performance for their accounts. We can only do so much in media. We can target the absolute best person. We can send them to your website, but we can't make them do the thing you want them to do unless the website really speaks to that. That's definitely a trend we see.
Mm-hmm. And certainly for people who may not be in the exact digital marketing space, user experience space that you're in, do you think people really understand the impact of what a good website can do for a business?
No. um, uh, Websites can very much make someone do the thing that you want them to do. If you have a page that doesn't explain your product, your service, it isn't a good lead form, isn't pushing someone down the consumer journey in the way, or even you can have the update based on content you've already viewed on the website. Those things like that can really get someone to be the customer that you want and not just bounce immediately. You need to really highlight your products, reasons to buy, what the service is, and explain that to a user. With shorter attention spans, people will leave and they won't do what you want, and you've already paid for them to be there. So you really want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your budgets, and having a website designed to do that is kind of essential to programs these days.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think that's a really good point, that it'll help direct people in the direction that you want them to go, to help understand the product, and make sure that the user experience is as clear as possible, so that way you're not muddying the water, that the buying process is clear. Am I right in that?
Yeah, definitely right in that.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have any advice for people, either people who may be starting out kind of in the digital marketing space, or, in kind of the industry that you're in? Any advice that you tend to see that you tend to give out your clients often, without giving away the whole book?
I think you need to have a partner, let's say it's a media buyer in this case, that has a plan, and that plan is aligned for what the client wants to accomplish. If there isn't alignment there, it's really easy to kind of have both parties go in separate directions and thinking that they're doing the same thing. But without that cross alignment and making sure that your plan is lining up to the budget they have and that there are results and there's checks in place during the whole strategy, not just like 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. It's like every moment through that you're checking in to make sure you're driving the quality of traffic, of leads, of purchases that they need to meet their bottom line. That's typically the most important. So I think alignment with those goals and with your partner is huge.
Hmm. Would you say that alignment, and making sure those lines of communication are open and analyzed often, is one of the ways that MCD Partners is really able to stand out from its competition?
Yeah, we always have a really senior team on each account that makes sure that they have good client relations, making sure that everyone is aligned with their goals. Yeah, we really make sure we have a lot of documents that are like, this is the budget, this is what we're going to spend, these are the tactics, these are the areas that we're targeting. It's not micromanaging; it's being clear with what we are going to do and getting alignment with the client to make sure it's meeting their needs.
And it sounds like that's really important to be like flexible as well, so that you're setting clear expectations, you're flexible, and you're meeting the needs of your clients too, in a way that benefits kind of both parties. Am I right in that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Meeting expectations is huge. That's why we always have goals and try to align everything to those to meet their expectations with the bottom line.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Patrick, I think this has been a very insightful conversation. As we start to wrap up, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with, whether it be advice, anything about MCD Partners, the industry in general, anything you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, I think test plans and scaling accounts are kind of the way to go these days. Making sure that what you're going to do is working, and then really turning up the dial and uh, letting the floodgates open and start getting the right type of traffic through. If you just spend all the budget right away, then you kind of don't really think you have to go back on. There's nothing left. If you haven't done it and able to drive revenue with your budget, then what are your trust is kind of out the door.
I believe that. I totally hear that on that. So, Patrick, I think this has been a terrific conversation. I appreciate all your insights, your time, and you being on Business Ninjas today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.